Hello and welcome to our live talk on postgraduate opportunities in education. My name is Sean Kelly and I'm the Marketing and Student Recruitment Officer based here at St. Angela's campus, and I'll be your host for this talk. This evening, I'm joined by Dr. Fiona Crowe, Head of School of Education on the St. Angela's campus, Dr. John Malloy, Programme Chair of the MA in Transformative Practices in Equality, Diversity and Inclusion at our ATU Mayo Castlebar campus, and Dr. Deirdre McClay, Senior Lecturer in Teaching, Learning and Student Engagement and Programme Coordinator of the MA in Learning and Teaching on our ATU Donegal campus. During this evening's event, we will be chatting about some of the postgraduate opportunities offered and delivered through the various ATU campuses and the types of professionals who will be interested in advancing their careers through these qualifications. So just some housekeeping first. We're not taking any questions during this session. However, if you do want to head over to our live Q&A section of our virtual Open Evening platform, you can submit any questions there and our team will be happy to get back to you. So without further ado, I think let's start into our panel discussion. So Fiona, we'll come to you first, if that's okay. Fiona, can you tell us why teachers and education professionals may choose to pursue a postgraduate qualification?
I think the reasons probably fall into three broad categories. The first cohort of people might choose to do postgraduate work in education and teacher education to support progression within their jobs. For example, they may be applying for DP and AP posts of responsibility, otherwise known as A and B posts. For others, it might actually be that they're interested in principalships and they might like another facet of postgraduate education that would be studying educational leadership. The second cohort of people are probably doing it for what was traditionally called continuing professional development reasons. For some, they might see changes happening in their school, maybe changes to curriculum and issues emergent in their own practice in schools, and as a result feel that they'd like to engage in some further study to support their own practice. For others, it might be actually absolutely and total pure interest. Teachers might find that they're keen to upskill in certain areas of their practice because it interests them, or they see teachers qualifying from new initial teacher education programs with new, for example, pedagogy or approaches to assessment. So I'd say if you were to ask me, those would be the three broad reasons why teachers might engage in postgraduate work.
Great, thank you. And can you give us a brief overview then of the postgraduate courses on offer at St. Angela's through your own School of Education and indeed within our Centre for Special Educational Needs, Inclusion and Diversity at the college?
No problem, and I'm going to stick to threes. So again, I'm going to say that what we offer probably falls into three broad offerings. The first would be a relatively newly launched Masters in Contemporary Innovations in Education. So this offers prospective students a suite of modules to support upskilling in a modern education environment, looking at everything from advanced pedagogy to potentially looking at new practices in assessment or advanced psychology. So a student would undertake a 2 to 3 year very flexible program of study where they could exit at various points if they so chose. And just to say that details in relation to eligibility and criteria, etc., would all be available on the website. The second would be a very big space where we have a lot of offerings, and that would be under the banner of what you flagged there earlier, Sean. That would be CENID, our Centre for Special Educational Needs, Inclusion and Diversity. As you can imagine, we do call it CENID because it's much quicker. So within that space, we would have, first of all, 2 government-funded programs. Those would be a postgraduate qualification, so the PG DIP in special educational needs, and also the postgraduate DIP in special educational needs autism. So both of these programs have specific eligibility requirements, and again, details would be on the website. But furthermore, in that same CENID space, we offer quite a lot of other postgraduate offerings, and I think we describe them as either stacked or build approaches would be used there in those spaces. So somebody could build up to doing a master's in autism or a master's with a focus on general learning difficulties. So there are quite a suite of modules and programs available under that Senate space. And lastly, we have, again, a very big range of standalone stackable modules. So we've worked hard to try and come up with a range that matches what's happening in modern schools and spaces where we find that teachers are interested.
And the beauty about those stacked modules is students can take them on over a specific period of time to build up to that postgraduate qualification, whether it's a PG Cert, PG Dip, or full way to the Masters. So a very doable and very flexible approach, I suppose, to getting that qualification.
Absolutely. And I suppose I'd also add that there are exit points along the way. Sometimes somebody might sign up to something bigger like a master's and life gets in the way. And it's nice to feel that everything that you do can be, in inverted commas, translated or cashed into a qualification. So it goes both ways. You can both build up or you can exit as appropriate.
Yeah, and level 9 qualification at that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then I suppose the delivery then of the courses. So for those working full-time or with family commitments, do these courses offer flexibility in the way that they're structured and delivered?
Absolutely. So again, based on our market research and our experience, we offer a combination of both blended, which simply means that some is online and some is face-to-face and some are fully online. But what I will say is that COVID taught us a lot of lessons. We all thought that full online was absolutely the gold standard in how to be flexible. But a lot of our students have come back and told us, and our own experience as educators would say, that some space where students can come together and meet and to work with lecturers face-to-face really enhances the learning experience for them. So we offer quite a big range now, which are either blended or fully online.
Yeah, and I would fully agree with that myself. As a student studying again, there's nothing like the dynamics of the group and getting to meet your peers one-on-one in real life. So that's all fantastic. Thank you very much for that, Fiona.
No problem.
John,
Thanks, John.
we will come to you next. So John, if you can tell us, who is the MA in Transformative Practices in Equality, Diversity and Inclusion for, and why has that particular program been developed?
Well, the simple answer to the first part of the question is that it's for everybody. But I suppose primarily it's for people who might actually be already working in, let's say, fields like community development or industry where equality, diversity and inclusion has become an issue. So that would be kind of the primary focus. But it is in response, we developed it in response to the changing face of Ireland, really, the idea that we have become a much more socially diverse society. So we've kind of picked three broad themes, really: race, gender and ability or disability. And that's kind of the broad lens. And then we've taken an intersectional approach to that, meaning we're looking at how those areas interact with each other. So that idea then is to look, okay, we've changed the face of Ireland, so to speak, historically over the last 20, 30 years, but how do people become culturally, emotionally, socially competent in that new environment? So how can we help people to do that? So that's why, like in the title of the program, the word transformative practices, that's the key, the idea that people will be changed through doing this course, but also that we will change each other during the engagement. That's a key idea. And the real point of that is that difference and inclusion can be made visible through that process, so that we become aware of each other's differences, our needs, our different abilities, our different roles within the society. So it is that idea of transforming things through this process of learning together. That's the key idea.
Yeah, and so relevant in today's world. And it's just, in a nutshell, that was perfectly described, I think.
Yeah.
So then it kind of leads into my next point, or my next question is, like, why would someone choose to do this MA in Transformative Practices in EDI at ATU Mayo?
Yeah, well, one of the things I've already mentioned, the idea of intersectionality, and that's a key part of this idea behind the course. And we did a lot of consultation with external consultants and advisors and people who've been through the asylum process and all sorts of people. And basically the key idea that kept coming back was this idea of the notion of the intersection of your different positions in society. So that's been the groundwork, so to speak, of the program. And then building on that, we've taken the approach based on what's known as the universal design for learning, where we try and get people to co-create the course. So that's one of the key ideas, that this transformative practice, people will structure the course themselves as they go through. They will be involved in designing the assessments. They will be writing reflective blogs as they go through that will feed into topics that we will then cover. So it's that idea that we co-create the process as we go through. So the idea is to be really, truly transformational. It's not just a vocational program. It's not just you're looking for a qualification so I can get a better job. It's actually to change me as a person and also to change the society. So that's kind of the key aim behind the thing.
Yeah, and it sounds like the empowerment that it can give students as they're doing the program, can certainly make. It'll include them. I suppose it's in the title, it's inclusive, but
I mean, one of the ideas is to create what we call a brave space, not just a safe space, but a brave space where people can feel comfortable.
Fantastic. So how is this the MA delivered then?
It is delivered a bit like what Fiona was just talking about earlier. It is a part-time blended program, so it will be largely delivered online through live online sessions and some recorded sessions. And then there will also be, every semester, there'll be 2 sessions of 2 days. So in other words, 4 days in person per semester. So it'll be a mix of those kind of things. And we will do a lot of creative work. That's one of the key factors, I suppose, that's kind of interesting about the program, is there's a big emphasis on creative pedagogy. So there'll be a lot of kind of arts-based work, role play, that kind of work in kind of exploring this sort of terrain.
Something different.
Yeah, exactly.
And I often get asked from prospective postgraduate students in particular, the dreaded thesis question, when students have to write a thesis on this MA.
I mean, they can, but they don't have to. So again, that's part of that idea that if they choose to, they can do an action project, which might be a community-based project. They can do an art project. They could decide to create a piece of music. It will be discussed with the team as a whole. So that's the idea. Now, there will obviously be writing throughout the program in terms of, writing blogs and doing a life map and that sort of idea. But no, it's not writing focused in that traditional sense. So the idea is you could produce a piece of research as an action project and could arrive at it being an art project or, as I say, a new piece of music or something like that. So that's part of the idea.
And that would make it a lot less daunting to some students, maybe. Giving them the autonomy to come up with something creative and something that they know they can do and put down that they may not get across in a piece of academic writing.
And not everybody is able for academic writing because, it doesn't suit their particular talents and skills. But it doesn't mean that their skills and talents aren't worthwhile. So, again, that's something we want to explore.
Brilliant. And then for those, when you say at the beginning, you mentioned it's open to everybody or everyone who might be interested in this program. Is there a requirement for an existing undergraduate degree to apply?
There isn't a strict requirement as such. I mean, the ideal candidate would have an undergraduate degree, but it's not an absolute necessity. So what we are looking for is a personal statement from people outlining some of their experience and why they think this degree would be useful to them. And then as part of that, they will have to undergo, the ATU has a process known as recognition of prior learning. There's a website, myexperience.ie, and there's also mycareers.ie, and they have to sign up to both of those and then go through the recognition of prior learning process. But the idea is that they would be assigned a mentor and helped through that process as much as possible. So that does open it up more to more people.
That's great. That's fantastic. Thank you very much for all that, John. And last but by no means least, Deirdre, we'll come to you now. So Deirdre, you're very welcome as well. Can you give us an overview of the postgraduate opportunities in education available through the Department of Law, Public Service and Education in our ATU Donegal campus, please?
Yes, our offering is the AMA in Learning and Teaching. It's a 2-year part-time programme and it's available to lecturers and teachers in all education sectors, and it's at level 9. So we do have teachers and lecturers from primary, post-primary, further education and higher education, and it's open also to early education teachers. It runs every 2 years. So there's a cohort currently running at the moment. So the next start date is January 2025. It's 90 credit masters overall. And that comprises 6 10-credit taught modules. There are 5 mandatory, and then there's 1 elective, which students can choose out of 5 different modules that are available. It has a capstone 30-credit module as well then, and that can either be a dissertation or it can be a work-based learning project, and the output of that is a portfolio of reflective practice. So the elective modules will also run as single certificates. They're 10 credit, and that will actually be advertised in September 2023, and those will run in January 2024. So they will be opened beyond the particular cohort of the programme and will be available. So those are equality, diversity and inclusion module, an education leadership module, a recognition of prior experiential learning module, restorative practice module, and also an effective supervision module. While most of our students do actually complete the full MA, there are 2 exit awards as well that are possible. So there is a 30-credit postgraduate certificate in inclusive learning, teaching and assessment, and that is the first 3 modules of the programme. And there's also a 60-credit exit award of a postgraduate diploma in learning and teaching.
Okay, yeah, those exit options are great because it just mightn't be the right time for someone to continue on for the full masters. They can always come back to it down the line, I suppose. But having the exit options is very attractive to lots of students. So how are the modules then and the course itself? How is it delivered?
It is actually mostly online, but like the 2 other descriptions there of postgraduate education, we did find that there is still some demand for face-to-face. So what we do have across the 2 years is 3 face-to-face Saturdays. So it's 9:30 to 4:30 on a Saturday as part of a module, and that's on the Letterkenny campus. But mostly it is actually taught online. So it's taught and assessed in 10-week blocks. The first 6 weeks of a module is classes. The last 4 weeks then is the assessment cycle. So the online classes are on Blackboard Collaborate, and they're from 7 to 9 p.m. in the evening, typically on Tuesdays and Thursdays for the 6 weeks. So for 3 modules, they're fully online, and that's 12 2-hour classes online. For 3 modules, then there's 1 face-to-face Saturday and 9 online sessions. And all classes are really highly interactive and discussion based, because it's very much a kind of a community of practice approach. We're all peers and from different educational sectors, but that mix creates great discussion.
It does. It really gets conversations flowing and ideas from people's backgrounds and different jobs that they're doing. It's always a great addition to any online forum in their learning. So if there were a prospective student listening in tonight, can you explain to them why they might choose to do the MA in Learning and Teaching with ATU Donegal specifically?
Well, I think there's a number of reasons. I do think it's a really excellent choice for practicing teachers and lecturers. There's a really good range of up-to-date modules around current modern learning, teaching and assessment issues. So we look at things like digital pedagogy, universal design for learning, and we have a specific module around the idea of creativity in pedagogy as well. I think the fact that it's open to all sectors in education, it really becomes this kind of community of practice approach. And it's very valuable, I think, learning opportunity with peers, and it really does deepen understanding of learning, teaching and assessment in your own sector, but also across sectors and across discipline as well. I think the flexibility too of delivery, and for us, we have noticed that it really has opened the course to a much greater cohort. And all lectures are then recorded as well, so they can be watched afterwards. I think the choice of capstone module, and that is a new thing on the current course, So you have the choice of doing the traditional dissertation if that's what you want to do. But I think this work-based learning approach, and that's done over 12 weeks with the portfolio output, will be really attractive to lots of students. And it also has a wide range of interesting assessments and assessment types, but they're all very much work-based. They're designed to be useful to the individual students in their own contexts. And there's very much an emphasis all through the course on reflective practice, but also in critical thinking on your own teaching and lecturing practice, and all linked to scholarship and best practice as well.
Great, fantastic. Would you have any key pieces of advice then for a student who might be on the fence, or who is maybe strongly considering your MA? Is there anything, what good questions could they come up with, or is there anything they can do in preparation for that application process?
Well, I suppose one thing maybe just to say, based on some of past applications, it is very much a course for practicing teachers and lecturers. So it is really important that when you apply that you are actively teaching, because it is very, very much based on that active teaching piece and reflective and critical thinking on your own practice. So it is important, I suppose, that you're in that space and also open to those ideas around that. So that would really be my key piece of advice.
Yeah.
I also want to maybe just mention too that there's level 8 requirements for it. But at ATU, we operate recognised prior experiential learning processes. So applicants could be considered based on relevant work experience as well.
Yeah, and their application process will give them an opportunity to get that message across. That is great. Thank you, Deirdre. I think the clear message from each one of our panelists this evening is the flexibility that is there, the variety and the range of modules and courses that are available in the education-related programs that we're offering. So I think we can probably wrap it up there. My thanks to Fiona, to John, and to Deirdre. There was a lot of really great information shared there. And if you'd like to watch back, we will upload this video to our virtual Open Evening webpage, and you'll be able to watch it back at any stage. If you're interested in pursuing a postgraduate qualification in our education-related courses, please do check out Course Search in the virtual Open Evening platform, and you'll be able to find out more details there. Of course, on our website, we have a lot more specific content on each of the modules and on each of the programs that we're offering. And you can check out atu.ie or stangelo.ie. If you have any questions about this evening's talk, do head on over to that live Q&A section, and our team will be available to answer your questions right up until 9 o'clock this evening. So my thanks again to my panelists, to Fiona, John, and Deirdre. And thank you, our guests, for joining, and I hope you enjoy the rest of our virtual Open Evening.